Hey, this is a quick video on the Master Case Q300L. It's a micro ATX case, and I just want to tell you what it's like using it after about a year. So let's start off with this. I have my board, my kind of I/O board, positioned in the top, and it's very fun with this case because you can position it either on the front or the side or the bottom as well. But there is one disadvantage to having it at the top. Let me show you. Yeah, it doesn't really hold in too well. So it's nice to have this at the bottom, but then everything's inverted, so it's a kind of a trip, but yeah, that's how it works. These dust filters work okay, but they're, I'll talk about the low points of this case later, but they're kind of cool, and they work alright. You can just take them outside and blow air through them. So there's that. Continuing on the outside of the case. Hold on, bear with me, I'm putting away stuff. Is this filter, which is on the bottom. Now this is held in by these little holes here, and there's little plastic plugs, which I'll show you here. And the reason I'm not using this, it tears super easily, or like bends, and I just, does it do anything? Not really. Okay, lay this on the side here. It's these plastic things. Now these things, which I have lined up in a row here, are super easy to pop out. And they just don't hold it in super well, and honestly I don't like it, so I just took off the bottom filter because what it's doing anyway. I'm just going to sit this on carpet. Now also a fun feature about this case is, and the reason I bought it is because of its modularity. Like, check this out. These feet, if I can do it right, boom, they just pop out, and I can take it off and I can replace them where I want if I want to get goofy, but I can just take them off. Similar with these little panels right here is, oh shoot, they've got little push tabs. Okay, there we go. So that's push tab number 1 right here, and boom, just another, pop right out. They have this hole in the front, which is kind of cool, and they have these screw points for handles, which you can actually buy separately for this case, or they also come with the other version of the Q300L, which I don't remember what it is, but it's also micro ATX. There's also a ATX version now, which puts the power supply up here and uses the same basic chassis. But yeah, that's about that. What I like about this case is it's super modular. So you have all these holes, all these points for pretty much mounting stuff, and you can cut holes in here, which is my eventual plan. So yeah, that's the part I do like. On the back, there's also, so you can slide your fan up and down if you want. On these mounting points, which I super am into. I mean, there's not much to say from motherboard. This has pop-out little things here, which I'm not a fan of. I don't like the pop-out, because then you can't put them back in. And so if I just taped these up, and this I might put a graphics card in here in the future, I don't know. Recessed power supply mount. It takes 8 screws instead of 4, but super handy, because it keeps the power cable out of your way. This PCIe device mounting bracket sucks. It's awful. I hate it. It takes like 2 minutes to do and undo. So yeah, just not ideal. Acrylic panel. It's got nice little rubber bump stops on it, and it's mountable in all 4 directions, assuming you have your little I/O device on the right side. But it's acrylic. It's cheap. You can get scratched, which it does super easily. I have scratches on mine, but I don't really care. Now let's talk building in it. Building, it's pretty simple. Again, power supply takes a little while, but everything fits super good. If I wanted to right now, I could just unbolt everything, pop this right out. Super great. What's also great, 2.5-inch device mounting. If it's mounted on the front, you just slide it to the left, and you're supposed to be able to anyway. Pull it right out. And see, now you just have these rubber stops that have kind of a slot in them, so that's removed. Now if I want to put it back in, no biggie. Just slot it in, push it to the left, that's not coming out. It's got these holes right here specifically for the cables, which still look ugly, but at least it gets them out of the way. For cabling and wiring and that kind of thing, I'm just not going to open it up because it takes too much time, but you have these screws back here. Actually, I guess you might as well want to see that. And the nice thing about these screws is that they have rubber stops on them, which is perfect if you want to lay down your case. Now, it takes up a lot of space, so I don't know why you'd really want to, but, you know, whatever, man. It's up to you to do what you want. So yeah, these are really long-winded screws. They're thumb screws, but they're very long-winded, very fine thread. Yeah, it's good to note that this side panel that I'm aware of is not interchangeable with the other one, so you couldn't flip them around if you wanted, but I mean, actually, you know what, let's test that right now. There's those screws, there's this, and it looks like, actually, if you look there, that lines up. Oh, that lines up. And a better way of testing this is seeing if this just lines up. So here we have the back plate, here's the front plate, and if I put one hole right there. Okay, so it looks like the back plate has a little bit of wider, like taller spacing, so they're not interchangeable. There you go, now you know. So this is the back of the case. You have your drive mounting here. You have a 3.5-inch drive mount here if you want to so use that. I'm against 3.5-inch drives and even 2.5s. I just like M.2, so there you go. You've got a lot of space in here actually. You have 1.5 inches almost of just cable routing space. You have a cutout, hard to see, but you have a cutout in there. You have some room up here for some other cables. You have these cutouts obviously. You have these cutouts here which I've used for fans and front I/O. So yeah, honestly, it's not that bad of a case when it comes to front I/O. Now this is where this case really lets me down. It's that it's all right to build in, but it's not great. Let's lay it back down. The reason it's not great is just that this covers it. These lips kind of cover the fan things right here. Like to get to a fan, you have to have a longer screwdriver. It's also like trying to get to these screws kind of sucks. If you want to screw something in down here, which I have tried to do, kind of sucks because again you have that in the way. Changing out a PCIe device, like I said, sucks. Fan mounting, it's fun actually because you can mess with all these. I know that there's dedicated holes and they have little markers here for 120 and 140, but you can also experiment with these holes right here. And this is where also the case really lets down is airflow. You'd think that because it's well perforated, airflow would be decent, but it's actually kind of trash. And the filters included work kind of, but they're also kind of trash. You can see my fans are dusty. See, that's a spot I've just wiped off and that was all dust. So the filters kind of suck, the airflow kind of sucks. Overall, that just kind of sucks in this case. So what am I going to do? This case has served me well. I'm going to keep it, but I'm going to have another stage here of this case pretty much. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to block this up, so like black tape or something on the bottom. And then right here I'm going to cut out 140mm holes from the steel. I'm just going to use a Dremel tool or an angle grinder because this is steel. This is a solid steel box. I'm just going to cut out the profile of that fan, leaving beams for support. Because this case, its entire structural thing is this, right? So I don't want to cut out too much of it, like just a huge hole without doing anything. And then I'll just put the filters, which are over there, back on. On top, I'm not going to block it off completely. I'm going to leave a circle here. Because what I want to do is I want to put a black pipe, almost like in a car, that leads here, 90 degree, and then I'll take this little ring off and I'll put it straight onto the fan. So what that does is that the fan has fresh intake from the top of the case. Now alternatively, I could do it from the front so that I don't like accidentally drop shit into my PC, but I might as well just put like a mesh filter or another fan, or even make a 90 degree bend out here so it faces that way and the intake just goes in, down, in, which could work really good. And then for the back, I'll just block these off more, and bottom block off, and then obviously this. I think I'll also cut out some space in here because, again, it's just so restrictive. So, oh, by the way, in case you were curious, 3.0, 3.0 power button, headphone, microphone, reset. So, this case, what is it? What's good about it? What's sucky about it? Well, it's 30 bucks. It's 30, 40 bucks. 30 if you can find on deal, which is great. Highly recommend it for that price. For just a project case, pretty much. For a serious case, you're not going to get much shit done because you need these two fans to, these three fans actually, to like get any airflow in here, because I have to run these at like about 70 and that at about 70 to actually get air moving in there. The stock case comes with a single back exhaust fan, and that's not going to do piddly poop, especially with the frickin' with this filter, with these two things which look cool but don't do much, and this thing which is trash. I'm just gonna throw that away after this. So yeah, that's what this case is all about. Also, note, power supply is an exhaust. If you have any questions, let me know, because I will be glad to answer them. I still have all the documentation. I still have all the info on it. And I have some new plans. I'll post them when I get them up. Also, sorry I've been gone for so long. I've been moved into a new room, which is gigantic, by the way, but I now have a desk that I can actually do work on, and this will become my computer desk. And there's the setup. Here's the plans. Just to give you a sneak peek. Yeah, check that out. It doesn't work, so we're gonna oven it. So yeah, that's the Q300L micro ATX case. Any questions, please let me know. I'd love to answer them. Other than that, have a nice night.